everybody, welcome to another edition of PoCommunity. I'm Mike Garboit, and I'm sitting here with Jacques Wong. How's it going,
Mike.
man?
Good. It's good to be here again.
Yeah, you've been here before. We did a podcast, never saw the light of day. Just had some technical issues, so it's taken a while. It's been like probably over a year now, I think.
2 almost. It was summer 2020.
Holy God.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Obviously, that was a long time ago. So, welcome again. New studio, obviously.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be back, and it's good to see all the new stuff you have outside and the studio, all the new tech. So
nice.
Yeah,
no audio issues today. Let's hope. I think we should be good. It's a lot. We're a lot more seasoned now. So
we also tested it quite thoroughly before we started. So.
Yeah. So tell us about what you do a little bit. I know we might not talk about it the whole time. Might just like talk about whatever we want to talk about. But tell us about what you do.
Yeah, well, good. It's a good place to start, I think. So I am the commercial insurance practice leader at the Reframe group, focused on commercial insurance. But some of the other partners there, they do all kinds of stuff: the wealth management piece, your benefits, some individual stuff like your health insurance, critical illness, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for me, primarily, I focus on working with businesses, mostly tech and other sort of emerging industries. So some of the more trickier stuff in blockchain, psychedelics. That's kind of my focus. And then I'm also the CEO of a company called LearnDay based out of the US. I had started a business just coming out of university called PNC Learning, which did training for regulated industries like insurance and finance. Sold it to them probably the tail end of 2020, and then kind of took over to help with management there and to sort of grow the vision outside of Canada.
Oh, nice. Nice. So you've been doing it a while then.
A little bit, yeah. About for insurance, like probably about 10 years, and
nice.
On the education piece, 4 or 5 years now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's 2017.
So has your career changed at all during COVID? Like, has it been doing more types of insurance than you used to, or like you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's different types of insurance, like you said.
Yeah. I would say there's a whole crop of new businesses that sprung up just because of COVID. Stuff around like testing. Even for small businesses, I don't know if you've seen some of the numbers on that, but in Canada and internationally, the kind of number of new business starts and like registrations with government to start a business has gone up something like 50, 67%, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of folks are kind of, looking beyond their jobs really and looking for a little bit more flexibility, and starting their own business is kind of one of those things, right?
Yeah, some didn't even have a choice. I mean, they get laid off from their job, and they're like, finally, it's almost to some people it was absolutely brutal. Obviously, losing your career or job sucks. But in other ways, it could be a blessing if you have something you're passionate about that you're really good at, but you never really had the time and you had bills to pay. Now you can go and try to do it, and like we've seen a lot here too, is a lot of blossoming career or businesses due to COVID, actually, because of a crappy situation and turning it around into a positive one. And it's a hell of a time to try to start a business. But if you can succeed now, it's going to be a hell of a lot better in hopefully when this ends. But it's the reason I ask you that question is just I feel like every industry has changed in some way. They've had to kind of concentrate in areas that they may have not been working in before.
Yeah.
You said you work in psychedelics, and I know we actually have a member here she works within the psychedelic industry. Cool. We also have a member here that works a lot with marijuana marketing. A lot of stuff that wasn't involved in mainstream business 10, 20 years ago, and now it's widely accepted. So what got you into working in that side, with basically psychedelics?
Yeah, those niche sort of companies. Yeah. I feel like for those industries like cannabis, psychedelics, even like beyond the psilocybin, like MDMA or ketamine, that kind of stuff. I feel like the research on that is pretty clear now. Not only in terms of efficacy, but also the kind of interesting thing about psychedelics and getting insurance or clinical trials or doing stuff for that is they're safe. They're known to be safe, right? Whereas if you're running clinical trials for some other medications or other drugs, you don't know if it's safe or not because it's never been used, right?
Yeah.
But psychedelics we've used, or cannabis, we've used them for like thousands of years. Like every other person basically consumes cannabis in some way, you
Yeah.
know, um, depending on demographics and stuff. But like it's
I mean,
known to be
here it's
safe.
been a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like here, even before it was legal, it was
Yeah.
definitely pretty
Right.
widely
I mean,
used.
just walk through the halls of your high school,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
walk past the bathroom at lunch and
yeah,
hey, right?
yeah,
So, these are things that have been used by humans for thousands of years, right? Extensively across cultures. Um, so it's a little bit like the growth of it is, I would say, accelerated versus some other drugs, just because it's known to be safe. So you've already cleared that hurdle, right?
yeah,
Now you're just trying to figure out whether it works.
yeah.
And so far it has, right?
Yeah, it has, and it's just that it's getting over that hump of the people that are always questioning because of the past
It's
legalities of it.
stigma, right?
Yeah, it's a stigma that it's always gonna have with certain. I would say certain generations, but we like us, the younger generation. I think is our minds have been opened up to so much more, and you see the problems that like subscriptions that the doctors give you to drugs that
Oh yeah, they're not good.
really aren't good for you. And start like you see the opioid crisis has a lot that came from that is people getting addicted to painkillers and not getting the prescriptions anymore and needing to still get that high or get that painkiller.
Yeah.
So when we know how much drug use and mental health can have like coincide with one another, but the amount that psychedelics have a positive on like your mental health for a lot of people with microdosing and all this stuff. It's not telling people to go and get just like wired out your mind and head to work. It's like, no, like there's people that if you wake up depressed every morning for for no reason at all, in some cases, some people just it's chemical imbalances. It could be anything, and have a little microdose of a mushroom, and is like it's been tested before. Like you said, it's
You're not gonna
thousands of
die.
years.
Yeah.
You're not going to die. Even I don't even think you can technically overdose
No.
on them.
No.
So it's like you might go crazy
Not
a
gonna
little
be
bit.
fun, but
Yeah, it's not going to be fun. But like if that's going to help you and
yeah.
that's going to like make your mental health better, it used to be promoted as something that would drive you crazy, and
Yeah.
now it's something that actually does the opposite, right? So
Yeah, all that Reefer Madness stuff I think is starting to wear out, right?
yeah,
And also with the psychedelics, there's a component of it where it's a microdose or it's a pill that you take, every morning or whatever it is, twice a day, and then that's it, right? But then the other kind of aspect of it is a lot of it, and a lot of where we're seeing a lot of like effectiveness as far as addiction or depression, that kind of, or working through PTSD, like little traumas and stuff. A lot of it is integrated therapies, right? So that is the psychedelic experience, but in a very like controlled environment with a therapist, and they walk you through that experience, kind of like you go to like the Brazil or something, and you do like an ayahuasca thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
With a shaman, it's very similar. Like they'll walk you through the experience, and then you have like these integration sessions afterwards. So it's like a whole course of treatment. It's not just the drug, right?
yeah,
It's the drug plus the therapy, talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's those integrated integration sessions after. So you kind of work through the emotions of it during the experience, and then you spend a lot of time also on integrating that and understanding it, right? And really coming to terms with that. And that's been shown to be super effective
yeah.
for things like PTSD and just working through those traumas, right?
Yeah.
So
What drove you to that? Like, what got you into that industry?
um, part of it was like a personal interest,
Yeah,
like so I came from a tech background actually. So like from schooling, it was a computer science degree, and I worked in tech for a little bit. And insurance is not the most exciting industry, right? And I it just didn't. Uh, I wasn't passionate about being the guy that sat in the office and then you come and do your car or your house or whatever. That wasn't um, something that I was really passionate about. I was really excited about. Um, and I've always kind of been, I started my first business even like before I started, or I joined up with Reframe to kind of run their commercial insurance side, right? Always kind of built businesses. Obviously, I failed a couple times, and things didn't really work out, and it's kind of hit and miss, right? But so I like working with innovative companies. That was something that's passionate that I'm passionate about, and really like supporting their growth, especially in areas where it's a little bit of challenge, right? Like psychedelics, you can't go to the insurance company and be like, hey, guess what? I'm going to grow some mushrooms. Can you can you insure me, right?
Yeah.
So it was just exciting for me to be able to help out and really see the growth of that industry.
Yeah.
It's just something that's
Challenging, I
fun.
bet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Challenging, and that's the thing. Like, it's challenging yourself. You can go. There's so many. Like, there's industries that have their niches that will always just, it's almost like that brainless work that you can do every day. You get paid for it, and it's not challenging.
Yeah.
A lot of people I meet, especially entrepreneurs, it's just like they want to be challenged. They don't want that coasting unless it gets to that point where you become such a successful entrepreneur that you don't have to work anymore because you've made enough money where this is like, but it's the drive that those people have is absolutely insane, and they want to be challenged. So yeah, like working in industries that are niche like that, where it's not going to be easy for you. It's actually probably going to create headache for you, but probably a lot more rewarding afterwards.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's just to be able to support the growth of that business, right? Because as weird as it is, like nothing happens without insurance. Like it's everywhere. You can't drive a car. You couldn't have leased this space without showing the landlord, a certificate of insurance. Like it's one of those requirements kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of these businesses and niche industries, they wouldn't be able to develop without having insurance in place.
Yeah.
You couldn't do the research on the clinical trials. You couldn't start, delivering the therapies without the right, the medical malpractice insurance or the, whatever you need, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to support those industries and really like help it grow, even like directors and officers, you couldn't recruit people on your team if you didn't have insurance. Because then you're putting you're putting them at risk, right?
Yeah.
So they wouldn't join your board without a D&O insurance policy in place.
Yeah.
So to really grow the business, you do need that, and so to be able to support and supply that, I like it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you don't see them many places, because I don't know. I don't know the legalities towards it all, but like me and Aaron were downtown celebrating. I think it was our anniversary a few months ago downtown Vancouver.
Congratulations.
And we saw like mushroom dispensary right on Granville.
Zoomers.
Yeah, you know them?
I do know them.
Yeah. So like, I actually thought it was a marijuana dispensary, and I looked at it, I'm like, that is not marijuana. But yeah, I don't know how challenging it was for those people to get leases down there. I mean, Granville's the landlords down there are probably pretty
lenient. Yeah.
Lenient. I mean, they have been for years. They've had dispensaries downtown Vancouver since I was a teenager, and that was way before they were supposed to.
Yeah. So I think a lot of those operated. So I don't know the specifics for Zoomers or for some of those places, but I believe they operate under the like compassionate access.
Okay.
Yeah, so I believe that's how they sort of get around the legality of it.
Yeah.
So you have to be a member. You have to demonstrate, kind of like a weed back in the day. Right? You have to demonstrate, get a prescription from a naturopath or whoever. I'd usually have one on site, or a nurse.
Yeah.
So usually you have to do that, and then, yeah, I mean, as far as them leasing the space, there's a couple solutions there. You can obviously get the insurance if you can. Most likely you couldn't, because you're not like Health Canada, because Health Canada has a license for that kind of stuff with psychedelics, MDMA, ketamine, that kind of thing. So they probably don't have that. But all the landlord cares about is, hey, look, if you do something that burns this place down, you leave a candle lit and you leave the place at night and it burns down my building, I want to make sure that you have the money to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
So they can supply the landlord with a letter of credit, right, from a bank, or they can, have some kind of bond or something like that, right? So there's different ways they can satisfy that financial requirement to the landlord. It doesn't necessarily have to be insurance.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Has there been like, well, I mean, I don't talk about other clients or anything, but has there been like really, really challenging things you've had to work through, like when it came to getting like people insurance?
It's always a little bit challenging, but I think where I'm at right now is I've been able to figure out like who to talk to and who not to talk to, like who gets it and who doesn't get it, right?
Yeah.
Like there was one like a couple of years ago, I had to insurance for a co-working space, actually very similar to this one, right?
Yeah.
And I had to explain to the guy, this was like maybe 2010. So it wasn't even that. Oh, sorry, no, 2020. So it wasn't even that long ago. And I had to explain to the guy what a co-working space was. He didn't grasp like that business model. He didn't grasp that concept where like, hey, you're gonna rent a space, long-term lease from a landlord, and you're gonna basically parse it out and give people monthly rates for desks and for office spaces and stuff. He didn't get that.
Yeah.
I had to talk to him for like 30 minutes on the phone.
Yeah.
So
I was opening
I'm
a
not talking to that
co-working
guy.
space, and I didn't know half what it was, to be honest. No, I'm kidding, but it's different actually. Co-working is so different depending on where you go, like what they consider co-working now. Some of them I don't believe is true co-working. That's like they put you. It's
like a Regis.
Yeah, well, office rental's been there forever.
Yeah,
People have rented offices forever, and you just rent a bunch of little offices and you don't talk to anybody.
Right.
That's rental. That's office rental. That's not co-working. Co-working means kind of like we try to create some place where people collaborate.
Yeah.
In a way, that's what we want. That's great. In a way, it kind of during COVID's been challenging because like, oh yeah, community, right? Like bring in people and have them work together. But I think after this is all said and done, that's what people are going to want is that community. And the people that are here do want that they love it here because of the community. So it's like co-working. That to me, that's what it is. But still, like talk to my parents, they understand it a little bit now, but they still don't understand it. And it's just new industries are always going to have that challenge, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of an education process.
Yeah.
But people like that work from home thing, right? That's something that a lot of people have really pushed for.
Yeah.
But you still, but there's still that sense of community you were talking about that people really crave. We're human beings, we're social creatures.
Yeah.
Even if you're the most like introverted person.
Yeah.
And I would count myself as one of those.
I am too. Yeah.
You got to have your rest and your kind of don't bother me time.
Yeah.
But you still need that social component, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing a lot, like kind of just the trend out there is people don't want to go to the office.
Yeah.
Like if you live in Port Coquitlam, you don't want to drive downtown to go be in an office space, right?
No.
But what they are looking at is working out of a co-working space where there's that community, but in their area.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can kind of zip over here 5 minutes, maybe they walk, ride a bike, and they can work around other folks, meet other people, have that interaction.
Yeah.
Right. In an office environment, but they don't necessarily have to go to like a central office in, some tower downtown.
Or where they worked before they got sent home to work.
Yeah.
And I am not generalizing anybody because everybody has it's a cup of tea if they like working from home. I have found that a lot of people that enjoy working from home aren't working for themselves, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
There are people that like working from home because their boss isn't watching every move anymore.
Yeah.
Not saying they're like not working hard,
slacking
but
off.
It definitely gives you a little bit more time to do kind of what you want to do. So there's a lot of people that have those like side projects and hustles that they got away with doing from home while they're supposed to be doing their other work.
Yeah.
And it's just it's going to be an interesting time once this is all said and done, where it's actually normal and CEOs of big companies that have multiple office spaces that sent their people home, once they realize like it's normal again, where they're going to go to. I don't know if they're going to want to rent out, like go and lease out their own spaces anymore. If we're co-working spaces are going to be where like sending their employees to wherever their employees live around. If it's the Lower Mainland, like it's like instead of sending everybody downtown again, it's like, okay, find Bob a place in Coquitlam, find Jane a place out in Maple Ridge, because it's just like that kind of stuff. So I think it's gonna boom. I really do think that kind of stuff is gonna boom. That's something we were trying to tackle a lot more lately, is finding those teams from big places that are all working from home. We're meeting those people now that are just like, it's been 2 years, man. I can't. There's no way my kid's like, my kid was an infant and now he's a toddler, and it's not working anymore. Like it's just like it depends on what your situation is at home.
Yeah,
we know Vancouver and rent and how much it is. So if you are a single person, like being in your one bedroom or bachelor suite apartment, where the hell do you do your work? Like it's not very convenient. And that's a lot of people. That's like what they can afford out here, that's what they have. And so places like this, we're trying to make it affordable, convenient. We have the memberships that are 1 day a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week, full time. You can choose your package that like it doesn't work out to be that. It's like 1 day a week. What that means is you get 4 passes a month. Use it how you want. Like we just call it that because it's not full time. But like when we see that, there's people that are just like, I just need to get away from my house for 1 day. Like I just need that. Get the community, and then other people they're here more than home. So it's balance, right? It's the balance, and I think I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very interesting. I hated working from home. I couldn't do it.
Not for you, hey?
No, because like if I had other stuff I had to do, and I was doing work I didn't enjoy, what are you gonna choose? And I had the motivation and like to go and do what I had to do. But when you're seeing that stuff, especially I say like with the kid, like we worked at home the 1 year, and it was just like I couldn't. He's yelling at me.
Chaos.
It can't. It's not. So it's like I need to get away. I need somewhere to go.
Yeah. So you know what they're calling that? A lot of the real estate companies, like they're calling that the hub and spoke model, where they might have that like headquarters in downtown, but then for all the folks in the suburbs, Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam. Okay, your guys are here. Burnaby, Metrotown. Okay, you guys are there in a co-working space or in a smaller office lease or something like that, right? So that's what a lot of the people are doing. And with that work from home thing, it's a nicer for a lot of people because especially like if they're used to having their some mid-level manager or whatever, just kind of like breathing down their neck all the time. It's kind of nice to have that space, to be able to do the work without feeling that pressure to look like you're working.
Yeah.
Right, because that's that kind of sucks sometimes.
Well, it's like it always seems that when you take that breath of fresh air, just like that little break, turn your brain off for a second, that's when the boss comes around. It just seems that that's what people look at always, right?
Yeah. And it's just feeling safe to be able to do that, Yeah. I'm not saying you shouldn't be productive and you should slack off or whatever, but like, part of being productive is taking those little breathers if you need to, right? And
can't be productive if you're exhausted and feeling micromanaged. That's how I've always. If you're a boss with a bunch of employees and you micromanage every one of them, you could probably get more done not micromanaging those people with half the employees. It's people don't work. A lot of people don't work either feeling that they're being underappreciated or if they're being watched. It doesn't make them work harder. I don't think it does, at least.
Or if you didn't trust them, why would you hire them?
Yeah.
Like if you didn't trust them to actually do what they're supposed to do, why would you hire them in the first place?
Yeah.
So that's probably, if you feel like you have to micromanage, that's probably a sign of something else, right?
Yeah.
You might not trust the people you hire. Maybe you hired the wrong person.
Well, it's a lot of it has to do with choosing how much you pay somebody and like saving money. So like if you're micromanaging your employees because they're not doing the job well, it's probably because you hired somebody that's not that good for the job because you're paying them a lot less. Yeah. I've worked with a lot of like here it's nice. There's a lot of smart small business owners, but like the small businesses I worked for in the past, a lot of them that micromanaged, like they just didn't understand. They didn't understand like why they had the turnover rate they did. It's like you're paying the people minimum wage to do a job that doesn't pay minimum wage. Like it's just And I think we're getting past that. I think it's also we're getting to a time where people can go to let's say a job interview and be more of themselves than ever before. Like it's not, I think bosses of this generation want like the real person that they're hiring, not somebody walk in suit and tie at a corporate and then the next day at work you find out that they're nothing like that. And it's just like I think it's becoming more accepted. A lot of the guys like Gary Vee and it's like more modern ways of how you run your office or run your business and just like cursing, like weird stuff like that. That in the back in the day, you were not using that unless now it's like it's him, and that's why he's successful because he's not the used car salesman, and that's what I feel like. I feel like when I was growing up, reason why I never wanted to get into like sales, even though like I did well at it when I was younger, but I hated doing it, is because we were under this like used car salesman mentality of sales, and that's why everybody hates salespeople, and it's because that was a majority of them. Now I think it's getting to a point where salespeople are actually like, no, like I want to sell you something that I know is going to work for you because I don't want the headache of coming back at me. It's like, why would I want to sell you garbage?
Yeah, and it's like, I think on salespeople, I feel like the role has kind of evolved a little bit,
Yeah.
just because everyone can do the research online. They're coming in when you have that first conversation with them, they already kind of know what's going on, right? They kind of know the landscape and what the deal is, so you can't BS anybody anymore. Like used car salesman style. You
Yeah.
can't do that anymore. I think people are a little bit too informed.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want one deal or do you want 10? You know what I mean? Do you want to be with them for 10 years and
Yeah.
get 10 deals out of it, right?
Yeah.
And we all know how hard it is to attract a new customer versus keeping one,
Yeah.
right? So you might as well invest in that retention and not be slimy about it, right? And really like get them to look at you like part of their team.
Yeah.
Like especially for insurance. I'm not just selling you an insurance policy. I'm doing the risk management stuff. You have questions for me, like especially for the types of businesses that I work with, they change so fast. Like every week, every month, it's something different that they're doing, right? So they really have to like treat me or look at me like I'm part of the team.
Yeah.
I'm not the sales guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a part of your team to help you with all these things. Your least requirements for insurance, risk management when you're negotiating a deal with a new client or a new supplier. What needs to be in those contracts to make sure that you're protected, right? As much as possible in combination with an insurance policy, obviously. But like it's those things, right? It's more of a relationship thing than it is like a sales thing, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's especially now. There's a lot of just mistrust in the world. People don't trust each other. So if you can work with people you trust, and it's a big thing, and trusting them to be part of your team, and like I think that's more and more of these people that they might work for multiple people, but treating them like you're part of your team and not just like a hired gun that's not going to care about you afterwards. Like there's a lot of people that treat certain industries like that. You've probably had that people like they're grouchy with you because it's like, oh, I'm paying insurance. I don't want to. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't. Right? Like if I like. So you probably deal with that on a regular basis, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, well, but you do.
Yeah.
So for those types of, you just try to make the experience as nice as possible.
Yeah.
Make it as smooth as possible. Don't. It's just. Yeah, those can be tough to manage if they have that approach. If the client has that approach, but you try to work around it.
No. And obviously, you guys are like you're a private company, right?
Yeah.
What's your feelings on ICBC? Because that's I think like been a hotbed topic for a long time.
Yeah.
The whole like government run insurance where they're conglomerate, like how much I know plenty of Americans. I know how much they pay for car insurance in some states if you have a good driving record and just all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we are in BC especially, I don't know, we've always been into this like you have to pay these government funded insurance programs.
Yeah.
Obviously that your industry would probably be doing better if you were able to go, not that you weren't doing good, but better as in being able to go and do the car insurance and go into these industries that obviously most people have cars. Most families have at least one car.
Correct.
So that everybody's paying insurance to that. And that's all going to an overpriced.
Yeah. Yeah. So part of the pricing on that comes from, because we only have one insurer, right? ICBC. It's a government insurance company. They have the all comers rule, where basically they have to take everybody, regardless of how, crap your driving record is. Right. So that kind of drives up the average rates for everybody, right? Even if you have a stellar record, you're still kind of paying for that bottom of the barrel 20 speeding ticket, 17-year-old, with the dad bottom like a Mustang, you're kind of dealing with that guy too, right? It's all in the same pool, so that's kind of what's pushing the rates up a little bit for everybody else. As far as some of the changes recently, so they did change. So I don't do a ton of ICBC because I mostly work with businesses, right, with commercial. But they recently changed their rules on some of the payouts that you get if you're injured as the driver. So I believe they did reduce some of that coverage. And then they also have that rule where they have that change to no fault, right, where you can't, it limits your ability to sue, right? So it's all kind of managed by ICBC. So, I guess they've projected some savings in that aspect. So they kind of cut the premiums down a little bit. And then they're also transitioning to all the online stuff, right, where you can renew online. You've got your decals now. And sorry, they don't have decals anymore, right? You don't have that sticker now.
Yeah.
They're replacing that with like VPD yeah, police like license plate scanners,
Yeah.
which that's a whole other kind of thing, like personally I don't like it that much.
Yeah.
This is a privacy thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I
You
mean,
know,
they've wiped that out completely. We all know what's going on
yeah.
right now
Well,
in
all
the
the cop
world,
cars driving
man.
around scanning your license plate, like to me that's a little weird.
Oh yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
they already do it. Essentially, if they see your plate,
Yeah,
they're doing it.
true.
While they're now it's just making it easier. What is it, like a QR code or something? Like what is it?
No, they're just gonna drive by. They're gonna catch your license plate on the camera, and they're gonna automatically like run stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they don't even have to type it in. It's just kind of like automatic as they drive around. It's kind of weird to me. But
Yeah, it's a weird time, man.
it
It's
is
a
what it
very
is.
weird time in the world. A lot going on today, yesterday, tomorrow. Yeah. If you're paying, it's actually kind of ruined my life a little bit when it comes to how much political crap I'm watching lately, and it's just yeah, it's not very comforting.
I try not to pay attention to that
Yeah,
stuff.
it's really bad. It's just really bad.
I try to pay attention.
You go down rabbit holes like crazy, but living in BC is when you predominantly, it's been pretty one-sided for a long time. And you're seeing a lot of people that are questioning who they want to support. It's just troubling times.
Yeah. And I think they should. I think there should always be. I think it takes all kinds. It takes all kinds of people.
Yeah.
To kind of make this world kind of go around.
Yeah.
So I like it. I like it whenever there's people disagreeing or whatever. It's fine. Like you can disagree and still be friends.
100%.
Right? Like we might disagree on a couple things.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't like you. Doesn't mean you don't like me.
Yeah.
Like as an adult, I feel like you should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And still have a beer after or something.
And I think consensus is a lot more people like that, but the vocal ones are not. The vocal ones that are fighting each other are the ones that are like don't talk to your families if you don't agree on stuff. It's just like, and do you not miss the times of debate? Like it's okay. You can do this.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, as long as it's not like straight up like hate on the other person's end, where it's just like, yeah, no, I can't back that up. I don't want to talk to you like that. Like, but when it comes to like a political affiliation or like just like personal little beliefs, it's we're going backwards when we like literally Canada's been my whole life has been pretty forward thinking. I mean, there's problems. There's tons of problems. There's still tons of issues, but they're worldwide issues that are like relevant in every country around the world, to be honest. And Canada was doing pretty good, other than the people in charge. In reality, if you paid attention this last few years, of just like the sickening crap that the government was involved in Canada's history. I'm not going to get too far into it, but like with the church and everything, and it's just like that wasn't the people of Canada. That was you guys.
Yeah.
So it's like what people in Canada have been taught, like how we're supposed to feel bad or just hate one another over these things that literally 3 years ago, if you had the exact same beliefs and you told your friend that hates you now that stuff, it wouldn't have mattered one bit.
It's weird how quickly things change.
Yeah.
And what is like the mainstream accepted.
Yeah.
It changes so fast, and even
so
faster
fast overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight. I was reading don't want to get too far into politics. I'm going to ask you more about where we can find you in a second, but reading how like the Greens have completely changed their tone. Like they're completely when there was actually a poll done about who supports the lifting of all mandates the most and vaccine passports specifically, Greens were number 2.
Really?
Behind PPC, because they are so for human rights and choice. Because they're like, especially they're like, people should be able to choose what they're putting in their own bodies.
That makes sense.
So they literally have changed in a way where the people in power right now will be like, the Greens are far right now. It's like, no, man, no, you just kind of took over their far left place. But yeah, it's crazy, man. I try to keep my podcast unpolitical because it's just everybody. It's just all over everything.
Oh, it's too much trouble.
Our producer Mo hears me all the time. But it's just it's draining, especially as a small business owner. Right? You're probably dealing with it. It's just like there's so many exhausted. Everybody's exhausted, but it's exhausting for these small business owners.
Oh yeah, you got to keep up with all the changes.
Yeah,
right. You're getting whiplashed.
Yeah,
it's tough to follow. Yeah, that's true.
So if anybody needs to get a hold of you, specifically for any kinds of insurance, where can they find you?
Yeah, can get in touch with us through our website, reframeinsurance.ca or .com. One of those. Probably should know that.
You probably should know that, but
try both. You'll get there.
It's okay.
Or you can, send me an email, Jacques, so JCQUES at thereframegroup.com. That works too.
Nice, man. Yeah, definitely check him out. Great guy to talk to. You can tell you're passionate about helping people out, and that's key to what we're doing here, and just key to what we believe people need to do. And just the fact that you are taking an industry that a lot of people can be bitter towards, just because, like I said, it's you got to pay it. It's something that people don't like, paying stuff they don't want to have to pay for. But if you make it a positive time, and you have a good relationship with that person, that person's actually trying to help you out with something you have to do. You got to do it anyways. Yeah, definitely. Jacques is someone to go to. I didn't get to talk about your great name, but like we did last time, just the French name. I loved it, and just it's the story behind it. But another time, I that was like the last time we did the podcast. All like, I think it was like 45 minutes of it was like just no audio. Yeah, we went a long time too. So
that was fun. That was fun though.
So yeah, man. Don't regret it. I appreciate you coming all the way here again. I appreciate you being part of the podcast and talking about this stuff. Yeah, man. Thank you for coming.
No, thanks, Mike. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem.
It's always fun.
Well, thank you guys too. This has been another episode of PoCommunity. I'm Mike Arboit. He is Jacques Wong. Have a good one.